I'm 90 years old, and I've reached a point where the days feel thinner than they used to. Not shorter, just quieter. And somewhere in that quiet, I finally understood something that took me almost a lifetime to name. My greatest fear was never dying. It was living my whole life without anyone really noticing I was here. I don't say that for sympathy. I don't even know who would be left to offer it. I'm saying it because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And at 90, you don't get the luxury of looking away anymore. Most mornings now, I sit by the window. Same chair, same spot. I watch people pass without realizing they're being watched. Deliveries, couples arguing softly, someone jogging with their headphones in. I wonder how many of them believe, like I once did, that being seen will happen later. When you're this old, time doesn't feel like a line anymore. It feels like a room you've already walked through. You can turn around and look, but you can't step back into it. I don't have much left to prove. That part of me burned out years ago. What's left is memory, and memory has a way of being honest when pride finally gets tired. I wasn't a dramatic man. I didn't chase danger or disaster. I built what I was told to build: a stable life, a respectable one. I did what made sense at the time. And that's the part people don't talk about enough. Most regrets don't come from reckless decisions. They come from reasonable ones. In my 20s, I worked constantly, not because I loved the work, but because it felt necessary. Everyone around me was doing the same. We were all trying to become someone worth listening to. I thought if I stayed busy long enough, visible enough on paper, someone would eventually look up and say my name with weight behind it. I married young, not out of pressure exactly. It just felt like the next step. She was kind, patient, quieter than me. We fit together in a way that didn't draw attention, that felt safe. We talked about the future in broad strokes: a house, stability, maybe children, if it worked out. We didn't talk much about how we wanted to be remembered by each other. That felt indulgent, like something other people worried about. I worked a steady job, office work, nothing glamorous. I was dependable. That became my identity without me ever choosing it. The man who shows up, the man who doesn't cause problems. My days filled up quickly: meetings, commutes, small talk that never went anywhere. I learned how to sound interested without actually saying much. I learned how to nod at the right moments. At night, I was usually tired, not physically, just emptied out in a way I didn't have words for then. I'd sit beside my wife, and we'd watch television without really watching. Sometimes she'd start a sentence and stop halfway through. I didn't ask her to finish. I thought silence meant peace. Years pass easily when you're not paying attention to them. Friends drifted, not dramatically, just fewer calls, longer gaps. Someone moves, someone gets busy. You tell yourself you'll catch up later. Later is a word that looks harmless until it's too late to use it. When our first child was born, I promised myself I'd be present. I meant it. I really did. I held him carefully, like something fragile and important. For a while, I paid attention. But attention is a muscle. If you don't keep using it, it weakens. Work crept back in. Responsibilities. Overtime that felt justified. I missed small things. First words I only heard about. School events I arrived late to. Bedtime stories shortened because I was exhausted. And I told myself I was providing. That was the language I knew. And my wife stopped asking me to come home early. I didn't notice when that happened. The damage wasn't loud. That's what makes it dangerous. Delayed conversations. Important ones. The kind that start with, I've been feeling. I always thought there would be a better time, a calmer week, a moment when I wasn't so tired. Those moments never arrived. Or maybe they did, and I didn't recognize them. As the years went on, I became known for being reliable. That word followed me everywhere. Reliable employee, reliable husband, reliable father. No one ever resourceable. No one ever said memorable. I didn't think I needed to be. I thought being useful was enough. Then my children grew, slowly at first, then all at once. They had their own lives, their own voices. They stopped needing me in the ways I understood. They were polite. They called. They visited when they could. But there was a distance I didn't know how to cross anymore. I hadn't practiced being seen, only being needed. My wife got sick in our late 60s. Nothing sudden, just a steady decline. Doctor visits, medications lined up on the counter. She became smaller somehow, not physically, just quieter. One night, she asked me if I was happy. The question caught me off guard, not because it was deep, and because no one had asked me that in years. I gave an answer that sounded acceptable. I don't remember the exact words. I remember her nodding. I remember the way she turned away slightly, like she had expected something else, but didn't want to push. She passed 2 years later. After the funeral, the house felt unfamiliar. Like I had been living in someone else's life and was now left alone in it. People came by. They said kind things. They talked about how steady I had been, how dependable. At night, I sat at the kitchen table and realized there was no one left who knew the parts of me I had never shared. That was the first time the fear surfaced clearly. Time moved strangely after that. Days blurred. I retired. Without work, there was less structure, less proof that I existed anywhere. I would go entire days without speaking out loud. I started thinking about how people would remember me. And the answer, when I was honest, was barely at all. A name, a role, a man who worked hard and kept to himself. That's not nothing, but it's not much either. And I thought about the conversations I never finished, the moments I postponed, the way I chose approval over honesty because it felt safer. No one had stopped me. No one had told me to live louder. That was my responsibility. That was my responsibility. The turning point wasn't dramatic. It rarely is at this age. And it was a visit from my oldest son. And we talked about practical things, health, appointments, plans. As he was leaving, he hesitated. Then he hugged me, a little too quickly. At the door, he said, "I wish I knew you better." And he didn't say it accusingly. He said it gently, like a fact. After he left, I sat down and felt something settle in my chest. Not anger, not even sadness at first, just clarity. I had been so afraid of taking up space that I disappeared inside my own life. There are things I can't fix now. I can't go back and be braver when it mattered. I can't redo conversations or show up where I didn't. I can't make myself unforgettable to people who only saw fragments of me. That's the hardest part of aging, not the body,